It's been another week, which means it's time for more mods, and it's more of the good stuff. More weapons, more armors, and more fun for Fallout 4. This week we've got a pretty good bit of stuff to look at. Some new guns, some old guns, and some new outfits to check out. Some of these older ones have some new patches that make them a bit more interesting to use, and some of them are just so good, but I just never seem to cover, so there's some really good hidden gems in this video. Stay tuned for those if you want some really good potential mods for your own load order. Now then, let's go ahead and get things started with our first mod this week, which is the Taz Over-Under Shotgun, also known as the Taz 34 by Diakyuto. This is going to be a double barrel over-under shotgun, something we don't have in the base game for Fallout 4. We do have a double barrel, but it is a side-by-side, but we didn't have those cool caravan shotgun vibes from Fallout New Vegas. Now, when it comes to making my own mods, I definitely do like to have every mod to feel like it has its own place in the sandbox, something unique that doesn't feel redundant. That being said, when I played Fallout 3, I always wanted an over-under shotgun, and when I played Fallout New Vegas, I always wanted a side-by-side shotgun. So, there's actually a part of me that does want both in my game for whatever reason. I don't know if it's for immersion, more variety, or whatever, but even though they do feel a bit redundant, I do want both, and now we have a really great contender for an over-under shotgun. Many of you are probably already using the Caravan Shotgun by Deadpool 2099, but here's something a little bit different if you'd like some more variety or you want to try out something different. Maybe spice things up in your load order for a bit. The Taz is going to be a Russian double barrel shotgun, but this one doesn't really feel too out of place. It is a over-under, you don't really even notice that it is any particular brand. It's really just a nice over-under shotgun with some nice engravings that looks pretty cool and pretty generic. The original models and textures from this thing come from millennia, so you know they are very, very high quality, and the animations are going to come from the shiny Haxorus. One thing I really like about this weapon is that it's not too flashy. It feels like it fits perfectly in the sandbox and fits right alongside the other weapons in the game. And that's something that's really hard to achieve in my opinion. Fitting the vanilla style is something that can be very hard to do, and I think that this mod does so pretty dang well. It does come with a good bit of attachments over at the weapons workbench that allow you to change the way the weapon functions and looks. Nothing too crazy. There actually aren't a ton of optics for this mod, but they are made up for with some different types of iron sights that you can equip, which is always nice. Multiple barrel lengths, different stocks, a couple of different receivers and muzzles. All the usual stuff that you'd expect to find on a weapon like this. Sadly, there is no unique for this mod, but there are leveled list integrations. So if you want to find this weapon, you can go ahead and pick it up in the world after level 5, and it'll start appearing on gunners, raiders, minutemen, trappers in Far Harbor, and vendors, meaning you can also purchase it along with finding it on enemies. What's really interesting is this mod actually makes some small changes to the vanilla double barrel as well. Not only does this mod have a bunch of cool attachments, but some of those attachments have been carried over to the vanilla double barrel so that there doesn't seem to be a sort of power creep with this mod. You can basically use either a little bit further into the game than you might have normally. Now, additionally, there's a couple of different versions of this mod. There is the standard version, which is going to use munitions, and then there is a vanilla version that is going to not use munitions. If you download the standard, this thing is going to use 20 gauge. If you download the vanilla version, it's going to use 12 gauge from the vanilla game. It also comes with some 4K texture files if you want to punch this thing up a little bit and make it look really, really nice, and even comes with a tactical reload patch so that you can reload one shell at a time instead of two. Pretty cool stuff, nice little bit of features in the optional file section if you want even more for this mod that makes it feel really, really nice and really feature complete. Altogether, a really cool shotgun, and if you want a new double barrel for your game, this is definitely one I'd recommend. Now, the next mod we're checking out is a really cool new armor pack known as the Special Forces Uniform by Chili. This is going to take the Special Forces uniform from Dead Rising, and it's available for both male and female characters. So this is going to be an armor port from a game I've never seen armors ported from prior. That's actually a pretty interesting one, and what I think is cool about it is that unlike some of the newer games that we get ports from like COD or Cyberpunk, this is a bit of an older one, and the graphics actually fit pretty well in Fallout 4. The different models and textures used on these armors kind of fit well in the existing sandbox of Fallout 4, and they actually look kind of retro. It's sort of that weird line of retro and tactical that you might see on something like the Marksman Carbine from New Vegas. It's not quite pushing the boundaries too much, but it still has a little bit of a nice modern-ish military look that you don't normally get in the base game. The gas mask looks super cool and retro, but you get a nice tactical helmet and vest that go on top of the uniform. Altogether, a really cool ensemble that I think fits pretty well in the game and fits with a lot of the weapons that you see on the modding scene as well. Now, if you want to get your hands on this armor, as is usually the case with most armor mods, and especially ports, you're going to go ahead and have to craft this thing at the chemistry station. It is not added to the leveled list, instead you're just going to be crafting it, but you can upgrade it at the armor's bench after you obtain it, so that part is pretty nice as well. Additionally, of course, you can just spawn it in, but definitely go ahead and craft this thing if you want the most immersive way to make this thing possible. That being said, I would love a level-less patch that maybe adds this thing into police loot. Maybe you find this thing over at police lockups, as there are quite a few of those in the base game, especially considering that quest that you have for Nick Valentine. If you go ahead with him, you'll probably find a bunch of these and a bunch of their pieces, if there were to be a level-less integration. Now then, that being said, there are a ton of pieces that you can craft over at the chemistry station, many different variants of the mask, helmet, gloves, and uniform that can all be combined in different ways if you want to have a different, unique aesthetic than the standard one. That also helps if you decide to throw it onto different settlers. You can have them all look a tad bit different from each other, instead of all being a carbon copy of one another. That being said, pretty cool little armor mod, one that has a really nice aesthetic. I love this kind of style of Special Forces, SWAT, whatever you want to call it. It looks really, really cool. And I think it fits decently well in the Fallout 4 sandbox. Now, this next mod is a little bit older. It's the Borchardt C93 by Anotherone. I think it's possible that we may have even touched on this at some point in the past, but the reason I bring it up today is because it actually has a new patch that had just come out that reminded me of it, and so I'm going to be talking about the patch as well as the original mod, as they're both pretty dang nice. Now, the Anotherone, a Borchardt C93, is going to be a nice recreation of the C93 pistol from real life. A really retro World War II pistol that is very, very unique, has some fun, unique animations, and overall just has a nice retro vibe that fits pretty well in the Fallout 4 sandbox. But that new patch is going to help this thing out quite a bit. The original mod does actually have leveled list integration. Something you don't typically see, I think, for Anotherone. But whenever it was scripted in, it spawned way too much. You would find this thing everywhere. It was supposed to spawn on Minutemen, Gunners, and then on Pipe Gun and 10mm spawns. Now, for those of you who don't know how level-less injection works, spawning this thing on the Minutemen or the Gunners or even weapon vendors like it does originally are all great. That's going to have a nice pool of weapons to compete with. But whenever you put it on the Pipe Gun and 10mm spawns, think about the vanilla game. Think about how many times you've seen a Pipe Gun or a 10mm pistol. The answer is way too often. And so we now have a patch called Borchardt C93 a tad less common, which is going to take away those spawns and make this thing spawn a little bit more proportionally, considering how rare this weapon honestly should be. The idea of having this thing spawn where a pipe gun and 10mm spawn is not a bad thing in general. That is kind of where you'd want to see it, in those sort of pistol ranges. But in terms of how rare this weapon should be, and in terms of how often you see the pipe gun, that's kind of the issue. Injecting into a specific weapon like that isn't always the best idea, so this new patch is going to make this mod a whole lot better. Now, as for the original mod, the C93, in case you're not familiar, like I said, a nice retro gun with really cool custom animations, scripted level-less injection, which is now even better with this patch, has an ESLified ESP so it won't take up a slot in your load order, comes nice and compacted with BA2s, and has a bunch of attachments over the weapons workbench. Overall, a really, really nice pistol, and now it's even better. So yeah, a really, really cool retro pistol. If you want it, it is definitely one worth checking out. You can go ahead and grab it in the description down below, along with any other mods I talk about in this video. They'll all be linked down there in a nice little list. And I'll link the tad less common patch as well. Now then, we have yet another outfit mod, and similar to last week, we actually have a Black Ops 6 outfit port, which is going to be the Black Ops 6 Grigori Weaver by Section. The same author who gave us the Woods outfit is here with a Weaver outfit. And the Weaver outfit, in my opinion, looks very, very nice. It's actually the character I play as when I do play Black Ops 6, and I like their outfit quite a lot. It has a nice heavy jacket, over a hoodie, over a flannel, over a t-shirt, with some cool gloves, some nice pants, and then duct tape all over, and some really ragtag pieces. Actually, in my opinion, something that looks a little bit more post-apocalyptic than Special Forces. The vibe that I get from this outfit is actually the same vibe I get from when I played Project Zomboid, trying to keep together a cool outfit with lots of layers while still trying to maintain it with duct tape and ripped sheets. It actually kind of sells that vibe a whole lot. You can ignore the fact that this comes from Black Ops 6 altogether, or that it comes from Grigori Weaver. This is just a cool outfit. It's something that I think fits really, really well, especially if maybe you have a winter climate, all those layers, and it just looks like a nice outfit that has been thrown together, somebody who's trying to make it with some tactical gear that's been kept together the best that they can. It has a nice holstered pistol as well, somebody who's ready for a fight, but still trying to keep a pretty low-profile look. Kind of sells the idea of Fallout to me. Not overly tactical, just something that you're going to wear for protection, and maybe to stay a little bit warm against the elements. Now, this armor pack does come with a couple of different pieces. There's the outfit itself. It also comes with an eye patch, which has a little bit of tape and ripped up pieces on it as well, so if you want your character to have an eye patch, you don't actually really see that much in different armor mods, so this might be worth it alone just for the eye patch. And then it also comes with a mask of the original character, Grigori Weaver, which I would not recommend. The mask itself is kind of weird and off-putting. It's just somebody else's face that you're wearing. The outfit and eye patch honestly work perfectly fine, like they kind of belong in the game already. I would avoid the mask altogether if I were you, but it's totally up to you and how you want to do things. They definitely don't look like they should. Grigori Weaver has a very specific elderly look, and now he has dyed black hair as if he was using ink from the printer, kind of like Creed in The Office. That being said, the outfit itself is fantastic, and it's something I recommend. I really, really like the look of it, and it's something I could see myself using in the future for screenshots or even footage. This is going to be one that's not added to the level list. It is more of a hero outfit you crafted over at the chemistry station, but I think it works great as a hero outfit. If this fits your vibe, if it's something you think you'd wear yourself, it's something I'd recommend. The idea of layered clothes with a flannel jacket and a hoodie, that's something I think I could catch myself wearing, and it's something I think I would also wear in Fallout. That's typically how I decide my outfits anyway, so I think this thing's pretty dang cool. Now for our last mod, we have a pretty dang popular mod known as the Tavor X95 by FX0X01. This is going to be the Tavor, otherwise known as the Tar. I don't know what exact variant because this is kind of an area that I don't have a huge expertise in, but I know it as the Tar 21. I don't know if this is the exact model, but you know it. It's the Bullpup 5.56 rifle, a very, very cool looking rifle, and this is going to be more on the tactical modern side for sure. In terms of the optics, attachments, and the gun itself, it's a big plastic bullpup weapon, so that kind of fits more in the more modern scene. May not be perfect for you retro fans out there, but it definitely is a very high quality weapon, and I don't think it's one that I've covered, so I wanted to make sure to cover it now, as it definitely deserves the love. This thing is really fantastic, top-notch AAA quality. It looks amazing. It has custom animations, tons of attachments over at the weapons workbench, and it has some built-in integration. It is added to basic level lists and will start spawning after level 25, and it'll be craftable at the chem station at level 15. So, you'll find it out in the world on enemies after level 25, but you can craft it a bit earlier, which is a pretty interesting way to integrate this thing in my opinion. This weapon does use 5.56 in its standard configuration, but there actually is a 9mm conversion kit at the weapons workbench that makes it use tiny little stick bags. Now, they didn't have this thing require any type of ammo mods, but I'm sure there are patches for that already. It uses 5.56 from vanilla, and whenever you use that 9mm conversion, it changes it to 38 in the vanilla game. Something really interesting as well, if you do decide to craft this thing instead of finding it out in the world, it actually is going to require a vanilla assault rifle to craft, so you're going to have to break one of those down in order to make this thing, which I do actually quite enjoy. That implies that you still need to go find a gun in order to make this thing. You can't just make it out of random scrap parts in your garage. That is a little bit more believable to me. Usually I don't like the idea of weapon crafting, especially for these more modern things, because how are you doing that? But at least requiring another gun makes it seem somewhat feasible. Overall, this weapon is the exact kind of quality you would expect from FX0X01, a very top-notch weapon and a very, very cool pick at that. If you're a fan of the Tavor and you want your own, this is definitely the one I would recommend. There might be a couple of others out there, maybe some COD ports, but this is probably the top of the line when it comes to this specific weapon. Not to mention level-less integration, custom animations, and all the good stuff. This is definitely the one that I would pick if I were going to be adding it to my load order. With that, though, I think we've covered quite a bit of good stuff here. If you want to try any of these mods, like I said before, they will all be linked down in the description below. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, consider dropping a like. It really helps out the channel and lets me know what kind of videos you guys want to see more of. Additionally, while you're down there, if you want to support me directly, you can do so on Patreon. It's a great place to support me if you like my videos here on YouTube or the mods I make on the Nexus. Either way, it is completely optional, not something you should feel like you need to do, but if you are a fan of that and you would like to support me, that is the best way to do so. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed once again, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!